Hello, this is the very first time I've done this, so a little bit nervous. Has that gone back one? There you go. So I work in collaboration, and I've come in to talk today. Wood for Good couldn't come in, or PEFC, so we did have a whole load of beautiful wooden pens, but I think they've all gone. We don't know. And there was 30 books, modern timber architecture. So grab yourselves one if there are some left. Brilliant books. So TRADA. I came to work for TRADA in January 2018. My background is in manufacturing, timber supply chains, and whole house timber building. A bit of passive house. And from our previous speaker, a whole house retrofit, 1840s, beautiful cork, limecrete, and very low cost of living, very healthy house. I love my house in Wales. So who are TRADA? Started in 1934 as the Timber Development Association, and it was to fight competition from other materials back in 1934. Now, I'd say we've got to work with other materials. All our buildings are multi-material and they are hybrid, and we really, really, really do need to work together. So this beautiful building here, nice glue lamp, 1950s. It's not a new product. So that was a Festival of Britain. Obviously not still there, but we do need buildings to last and look brilliant. The Timber Research and Development Association, as we now know it, came into being in 1962. It is a membership organisation. We provide technical information, we promote wood as a material, and we have a university engagement programme. Now, when I say it's a membership organisation, we also have an advisory line. So if, as architects, or any kind of practitioner, you have a query about timber, please get in touch. Phone us up and ask us, because we will give you a certain amount of free information. We won't go into details. We do have a paid-for service as well. But we'd much rather you speak to us and get some solid information than go out and learn on the job. So, just bear it in mind. Membership, again, starts about £190. It's not hugely expensive. Free access. So most of our access is through the website. You can register as a free user. Again, there is lots of information that is free. But if you're an architect or, if you're a student or a lecturer, go to the academic page, which is here. Scroll down until you get to this orange section and sign in there. There is a huge, again, amount of information that's absolutely free and will lead you to probably things that you don't know, things that I'm still learning. And I've been in this industry since I was 17. So we have, I'll go more into this, learning resources. We have 100 case studies, actually more than 100 case studies, and we had wood information sheets. So our learning resources, which is absolutely free to everybody. As a registered user, you can get hold of this. 8 modules, 63 units, pretty much everything you want to know about timber. Very responsive. So that was it. So the focus modules. So here on construction principles, specification and design, designing for building performance, introduction to off-site construction and construction sequencing. Again, if you don't know, really useful. What everything is, where it goes. And a wood species database. If you don't know anything about a certain wood species, go on there, look it up. I must admit, I put this one on sycamore. Sycamore is my absolutely most favourite timber. It's non-durable. I'd say don't use it outside, but I've been lucky enough to retrofit a house and have a table designed and made from Welsh sycamore, and it is absolutely beautiful. I call it my antique of the future. But I came into TRADA to work on university engagement. So I go out to pretty much every university in the country, if they're interested, and talk to them about timber. When I came in, sort of six weeks into the job, I inherited a multidisciplinary competition. When I say I inherited it, it was the first year of it. So this was February 2018, when we brought together 30 universities, 60 students, divided them into 10 teams of architects, architectural technologists, engineers, landscape architects, and quantity surveyors, all in their last year of undergraduate study. So they could not only work with timber, but actually work holistically with timber. Because timber, although an absolutely beautiful material, does need to be thought at the beginning. It is not best used when you shoehorn it in at the end of a program. So please, when you're thinking about timber, actually think about designing with timber. Your walls will be different widths. You will need to think about your sole plates, your ground levels. And I'm sure a lot of you as architects will be tempted to put flat roofs on. Now flat roofs will always leak at some time. It's when, not if. So if you're going to use timber and you're going to do flat roofs, think about it very, very carefully. Think about where you're going to get that information on. And this is what we're aiming to get to our undergraduate students, because they do this competition in February and they're out in jobs in June. We look for sponsors for this competition. Timber Trade Federation, brilliant organisation, sponsor as well. Styco, Store Enzo, Wood for Good, and PEFC. So they come and spend 2 days with us with all these students. We get high-profile judges, again, looking for their next generation of employees. We've got Cullinan Studios here, Worth Thistleton, DRMM, Gardner and Theobald, LAC, this is Ramble, AKT2 and Arup. I knew I'd forget somebody along there. And again, they come and give their experience and spend those 2 days with those students. And some of these students have gone on to work for these practices. The challenge last year was student accommodation. So we found a live site up in Sheffield. They spend 2 days. It's a charrette-style competition. And the unintended consequences of them all meeting, all talking to each other, delivers a better holistic building at the end of it. This here is our winning team. These were our 2 architects. These were our 2 engineers. This is our landscape architect, and this is our quantity surveyor. They draw diagrams, they put posters, and they make models. So it is quite intense. We are looking for judges for February 2020. The competition will be in Cardiff, and it will be about community housing, affordable housing, or social housing. How do all our students design that housing for the future? So this is more about why I was here as well. Is timber sustainable? From a seed, we had our carbon dioxide, we had our water, we had our light. From that we get a tree, from the tree we get timber, and from that we get timber products. That's all we need, nothing else. You can go on into the management, but it's an inherently renewable building material, and also locks up carbon until the wood is broken down at its end of life, either by decay or burning. So another plea to you is, please design your buildings to last for longer than the tree takes to grow. And then it's truly sustainable. Because if a tree takes 40 years to grow and your building is only temporary, you're going to need, the last 10 years, you're going to need 4 times as much timber to grow that. If your buildings are 60 years, and say in northern Sweden, the timber takes 100 years to grow. Again, just think about it. You're going to have timber as a rain screen that will naturally decay. But there it is a rain screen. It should be easy to take down, easy to take off, and then be repurposed. Again, talking about sustainability, no trees in general can be cut down for commercial purposes unless you have a felling license. And most countries, you have to, when you get the felling license, agree to replant that timber. In Sweden, which I came home from on yesterday, they have to plant 4 trees for every one they fell. You also then chain of custody. The Forestry Stewardship Council, PEFC, the Programme for Endorsement of Forestry Certification, and in the UK, Grown in Britain. All again, looking at the management, giving you certainty that your timber is coming from a sustainable source. There's all the links in here. So, again, how does your tree grow? Something I didn't know, for having been almost like 15 years in the industry, it was only at the age of about 35 I actually realised how a tree grew. If you imagine a traffic cone, that's your first year's growth. Add a second traffic cone on top, that's your second year's growth. Every year, a tree grows, basically, a V-shape, inverted V-shape over the top of it. That's why the pith is the centre, and the first year's growth is right next to that, and it keeps going out. Branches are the knots in timber. So when you start looking in the knots, and a branch always comes from the pith. So, again, this will talk about management. If you're really interested, I could bore you probably for a whole day on timber management. That's how you know how strong your timber is, and whether you want a characterful timber with lots of nice knots and bark inclusion and all the things I think are beautiful, but a structural engineer would hate. He would like a square tree with growth rings probably every millimetre apart, and his job is then done. But it's a natural growing organism, which makes a fabulous material. I keep saying, giving you things. Tell me if I'm going anywhere close to it over time. Wood, hygroscopic material. It absorbs and desorbs water. Be very, very careful of moisture. Green timber is wet. So in that cubic metre there, that much, when it is green, is actually water. As it dries out, comes down to 12% moisture content, that much left is water. I think I've got a quick quiz for you. 50% moisture content. If you can read it, what does it mean? So I've got A, B, C, and D. I'm going to get you all to put your hands up. So 50% moisture content. Does it mean half of the weight of the piece is water, which is A? B, a third of the weight is water? C, 2/3 of the weight is water? Or D, quarter of the weight is water? 50% moisture content. Any takers for A? Any takers for B? Any takers for C? A few more. And D? Well, all those of you who put your hand up for a third are correct. So moisture content, it is based on the oven dry weight. So you have a kilogram of timber, and as a dry weight, and it has no moisture in it whatsoever. At 50% moisture, it will weigh 1.5 kilograms. Therefore, a third of that piece will then be water. Just so you understand again what moisture content means. Why is it so important? So we've got oven dry weight. In a heated building, it'll be about 10% moisture content. Outside in the rain, 25%. Put it in a bucket of water, it'll go up to 40%. If you leave it for a really long time, it can go above 100% moisture content. It can absorb its own weight in water. Now, this is really important because at 20% moisture content is the decay threshold. You want to keep your timber, to preserve it and to use it for a long time, below 20%. Here you go, 20 to 22% moisture decay threshold, in-service moisture content. If you can get hold of this graph, and I'm more than happy to provide it, and I'm sure these slides are going out, this is your equilibrium moisture content. I think I've just broken the... Maybe not broken it, just taken out the battery.
That's fine, I'll just put it back.
So, as I said, timber absorbs and desorbs timber. You need to know about three things. The temperature of your internal buildings will normally be around between 20, 24, 25%. Your relative humidity for a healthy building will be between, thank you, Jessica, between 40 and 60%. And your timber will naturally equilibrate to the moisture content. So if you say here between 40 and 60, around 20%, you're going to be looking at specifying your moisture content of your timber between 10 and 12%. Now your timber will arrive from your builder's merchant, if it is not a board product, at around 18%. It will dry out in your buildings, and that's why it shrinks. That's why you have gaps. Let's see if I'm going the right way now. And why do I say it's so important? So TRADA, we have technical consultants. Over 80% of the problems we see are moisture related, including flat roofs. Specifying, obviously as architects you'll know this, external joinery, internal joinery in an unheated building, 12 to 16% average moisture content, 9 to 13 internally. Where you're using passive house or very, very dry buildings, hospitals especially, you'll find timber will go down to 6 to 10%. You can buy super dry timber, and board products will often come in at a very low moisture content. CLT, cross-laminated timber, probably coming in around 15%, 14%. And a quick final plug, case studies. If you're interested in lots and lots of timber buildings, we're probably having about 110. Again, mostly free to access. This is one of my very favourite. I think Patrick, he'll be here from DRMM later. This is Maggie's Oldham. If you ever get the chance to go and see it, it is Cancer Centre. It is beautiful. And this is what almost made me weep. Those undergoing chemotherapy sometimes feel pain on touching cold objects. Timber was used wherever possible. There are oak rather than metal door handles on doors and cupboard doors, and even a birch handle on the Scandinavian kettle. Again, thinking about what your client wants and using the appropriate material to actually give them that. Case studies, they are online. Download them. You'll get so much more information, how people did things and did things well. Gloucester Services, M5, again, beautiful. If you ever get the chance, this is not your traditional service area. There's one on the north side, one on the south side, and they are both different. I think this is going off, isn't it? This is telling me that I'm getting to time. With students, if you are lecturers, and you want to work with students, I want them to get more hands-on. I don't think you can understand about material by just getting it out of books. We work with Studio in the Woods. I'm sure some of you will know Piers Taylor. He and Kate Darby set this up probably about 15 years ago. 60-odd students come together with practitioners in a woodland, probably in June, July, and spend 3 to 4 days there, making, designing, handling, hands-on. I just said I come back from Sweden. Who teaches the teacher? Here we took out 4 lecturers to actually understand timber production and the products it goes into. Again, if you're interested, please come and get in touch. I think we need to build more and better buildings from wood and timber products. I think we should ban the word innovation. I hate innovation. Let's go with incremental improvements. Learn from our mistakes. Have a holistic approach. Have passionate professionals. Be knowledgeable and a LinkedIn supply chain. We definitely need more relevant education and more hands-on experience. And that's me. I think I'm done. Thank you ever so much.